Hi, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon from whichever part of the world you're joining from. And thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sonali Kirk. I'm a project specialist here at AsInt, and I'll be your host for this session. And I'm thrilled to welcome you all to this exclusive expert-led webinar on transforming asset performance with SAP APM, Cumulocity, and AsInt. Today, we are going to be hearing directly from the top minds across three powerhouse organizations, that is AsInt, SAP, and Cumulocity. Each are bringing their unique strengths to the table by sharing their journeys. So let me begin by quickly introducing the seasoned professionals that are joining us as speakers today. Our first speaker is Simon Lee, the global solution owner of SAP Asset Performance Management. Simon brings over a wealth of experience. He has been with SAP for more than 14 years now and has focused on the asset performance management topics for most of his time in product management and solution management roles. He specializes in SaaS applications, predictive maintenance, and AI ML analytics across various industries and holds over 9 US patents related to enterprise applications. Thank you for being here, Simon. Moving on to the next guest speaker, that is Ricky Singh, the Vice President of Cumulocity's business in North and South America. Ricky is a results driven digital business leader who is passionate about helping businesses harness emerging and established technologies to innovate faster and smarter. He brings deep expertise in strategy and business development, particularly well versed in emerging technologies such as 5G, IoT, AI, blockchain, and augmented reality and virtual reality. Thank you for being here, Ricky.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And yes, lastly, we have our founder and CEO, Rohan Patel. With over 20 years of experience, Rohan has been at the forefront of developing ERP integrated software tailored to the business needs. His leadership at AsInt is marked by strategic vision and a strong commitment to client success and sustainability. He's also a frequent speaker at industry events, and he brings valuable insights into risk-based inspection and overall the future of asset integrity management. Thank you for joining us today, Rohan, and thank you. We are grateful to have all of the speakers on board for today's webinar. So, all right, it's time to dive in now. I think with this, I'll pass on the stage to Simon. Simon, can you just set the foundation for us today? Why is it that SAP decided to dive into the space of asset performance management in the first place, and come up with its own product offering?
Thank you again, Sonali, for having me. And thank you, everyone, for attending our session today. So at SAP, our mission is to help the world run better and improve people's lives. And for our domain, it's really about helping the world's assets run better. And in today's environment, we all face the same challenges. We know our customers are facing supply chain uncertainties. And the last thing that you want is your equipment, your assets, to be unreliable and unpredictable. So our goal here is to help the reliability organizations to have the right tools and technologies to improve asset reliability and increase the uptime of the assets. And we are all facing the same cost pressures as well: raw materials, transportations, etc. And again, helping our customers, their reliability organizations and maintenance organizations, to avoid unnecessary interventions and activities when they're not necessary. So you don't over-maintain, you plan to execute maintenance actually relative to the asset's risks and actual health conditions. And finally, we want to ensure our customers' assets that are reliable, not only reliable, but also safe and compliant, right? Helping our reliability organization to be a great partner and enabler for operational integrity. So with that, the next slide, please. We provide a suite of products that we call SAP Intelligent Asset Management, or IAM. And we take this AI first and suite first approach to provide these capabilities that extend our core, our cloud ERP capabilities to ensure this end-to-end asset lifecycle management. Okay, so AI first, meaning that we build AI capabilities, both generative AI and machine learning capabilities at the core within the processes based on SAP Business AI and our Copilot Joule. And not only that, sorry, we're still on the previous slide. Not only that, we are ensuring that the data are harmonized. So all the capabilities, all the modules speak the same language, the same data model as S/4HANA, okay, to ensure AI can consume and learn from these data consistently. And later, Ricky is going to talk about IoT as well. So that's also included. And specifically today, we're going to talk about APM, Asset Performance Management. So here, the suite first approach. So I'm sorry, I'm still sorry. So for APM, taking the suite first approach, meaning that we ensure the processes are seamlessly integrated. Okay, so for APM, it's about reliability processes with the maintenance processes. We ensure this closed loop. Okay, so that aligns all these organizations. So reliability, maintenance, operational integrity, finance, all seamlessly working together and improving the process continuously. The next slide, please. So specifically, what APM provides out of the box is meant to extend, again, our cloud ERP, our EAM capabilities with asset strategy, asset health capabilities, and ultimately creating that closed loop process for continuous improvement. So it starts with assessing the risks, right? So providing the tools, template-driven capabilities to help create the risk matrix and help you quantify and evaluate asset risks at scale. Providing all types of reliability engineering capabilities out of the box based on proven methodologies such as RCM, reliability center maintenance, FMEA, failure modes and effects analysis, and with critical analysis, with criticality as well for Mika, and be able to provide the tools for your asset strategists, for your reliability engineers to develop maintenance strategies and asset strategies, and turning them into maintenance recommendations. So updating maintenance intervals in maintenance plans, selecting task lists for specific tasks, for specific failure modes, setting up these indicators for condition monitoring to actually execute the maintenance, to implement these maintenance activities or maintenance recommendations into maintenance activities in our EAM, in our cloud ERP. And we also provide the capabilities to manage all the health indicators or just indicators. So that includes measurement points from the cloud ERP from EAM, but also all the IoT data. Again, we're going to talk about this at length. But the idea is that we can bring all the health indicators under one platform. So again, measurement points, tags, IoT sensors, external results from labs, your AI models, et cetera, et cetera. So we can manage all these holistically and orchestrate maintenance activities and condition monitoring across all these endpoints, different systems at the enterprise level. And ultimately, it's about monitoring the asset health, right? Continuously and using our technologies and enabled by predictive analytics. So Sonali, could you please go back? AI-enabled predictive analytics, right? So we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but the idea here is that, again, we take an AI-first approach. So providing out-of-the-box AI capabilities and machine learning capabilities. For example, AI-driven visual asset health monitoring. So taking advantage of image data, but of course, taking advantage of all the IoT time series sensor data for machine learning for use cases such as anomaly detection and failure curve analytics, etc. So these are the standard capabilities that APM provides that help extend your EAM investment with SAP with S/4HANA, so that we enable the reliability organizations to achieve their goals. The next slide, please. So our differentiation at the core, as I mentioned before, it's about the suite-first approach, and that is about closing the loop from strategy to execution. And our customers really gave us the feedback that this is really something that set us apart. We are in a unique position to help closing that gap. So that, again, reliability organizations and the maintenance organizations are work hand in hand. And together, they can better support the operations integrity programs that I think Rohan's going to talk about at length, right? So all the mechanical integrity management processes as well. But from our point of view, we also doing it with failure modes at our core, okay? Meaning that everything that we do in terms of defining maintenance plans, activities, and setting up rules, all from the right maintenance strategies, okay? And these maintenance strategies, these asset strategies are based on failure modes. And when they're developed, they're being fed by these assessments, reliability engineering assessments, risk assessments. They are all focused on specific failure modes. And these failure modes are based on the same master data, the same data model that I spoke before. That's harmonized across SAP EAM and APM. So it's the same catalog profiles, the same failure modes, the same failure mechanism, detection mechanisms, et cetera, that you already have set up in your data model. And with that, it flows across this entire process and using technologies to help drive asset health monitoring at scale. So IoT and AI. And the Bill, please, the next slide. It's, again, ensuring that these organizations are working together. And one special topic that I wanted to bring across today is about our embedded IoT. So we talk about why IoT is key, right, for our AI first strategy, because we need that harmonized data. And of course, the practical application ultimately is to be able to help our customers to continuously monitor asset health. And with our approach in a closed loop that's connecting the strategy to execution. To enable that, we have partnered with Cumulocity. So what we call embedded IoT, that's about enabling this use case. It's powered by Cumulocity in the background. So when we say embedded, it really means both commercially and technically. So when you subscribe to APM, to SAP APM, it's one single subscription. And Cumulocity is simply just an integrated component. And there's no, you don't have to deal with two vendors. It's the one, support message to SAP if there's any issue. And at the core, right, it's so seamlessly and deeply integrated with all the capabilities with APM using our data model. And of course, the value it brings is unmatched. It helps everyone to simplify all the data integration scenarios. So essentially supporting any scenario that we have seen with all the data endpoints, data historians, data lakes, legacy OT platforms, SCADA, PLCs, IoT gateways, et cetera, ensuring that we ingest IoT sensor data in a consistent fashion and again, ready for AI consumption. And with Cumulocity's proven ecosystem, it gave us the ability to provide plug and play ease to the devices, right? So SAP, we provide solutions, software solutions in the cloud, but connecting to that devices, to the gateways, Cumulocity helped us to bridge that gap. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna turn it back to Sonali and to Ricky.
Well, thank you for setting up the stage, Simon. And I think you were able to clearly outline what is SAP's unified vision when it comes to asset performance management, talking us about the key features when it comes to risk and criticality, to reliability, and then closing the loop with the maintenance processes. But now just I'll pass on the stage to Ricky. So Ricky, can you walk our audience through what exactly is Cumulocity doing in the IoT space and how it's being embedded within the SAP stack?
Thanks, Sonali, and thanks, Simon, for the great introduction. I thought, what better way to start than normalizing some acronyms? You didn't expect to join a webinar with SAP around IoT and AI and not learn more about acronyms, right? So I thought this would be a great place for us to start, kind of grounding the audience on when we use the terms AI and IoT and AIoT and ML and asset intelligence, what are we really talking about? And where we see it from a asset data perspective into the closed loop processes that Simon's talking about, how is this changing the paradigm around asset intelligence and asset maintenance, right? So IoT, Internet of Things, this is really about the connectivity and getting data off of sensors and machines and devices that are happening in real time. And depending on the industry you're in, these could be nice to have, and in some cases, they're critical. If you're a medical device manufacturer, for example, your asset is your business. So having this data from your business becomes critical. Meanwhile, data science, not a new discipline, but this has really been around exploring and preparing data, running analytics, spotting trends, answering why did this happen. I've tried to do some data science around the number of Amazon packages that show up at my door on a weekly basis, but my wife frowns upon that. So I'll tell her that it's in spirit of what we're trying to do here and being efficient. Now, AI is actually a subset of data science that builds on machine learning to predict outcomes and prescribe solutions, right? For any of you that have used large language models, it can give you foresight. It can, answer questions you may have in unique ways. And AIoT is sort of this emerging arena that's combining the sensor streams coming from sensors with traditional data science, AI, ML. And now we're starting to see predictions that aren't just sitting in a dashboard. They can actually trigger some real-time action at the edge or in your enterprise system, where the unique part of tying together your machine data with your enterprise processes is that premise around that closed loop that Simon was referring to, right? So think of a vibration sensor on a pump. IoT helps ingest that data. Data science may spot patterns, whether those vibrations are within acceptable limits or not. AI can predict that failure, and the combination of this AIoT will generate the maintenance order in SAP and either dispatch a software adjustment or notify a technician before downtime occurs. And on the next slide, we see this sort of evolution of maintenance strategies that many of you have been on a journey for, right? Starting with this arena of reactive maintenance, right? Hopefully, nobody that's in on the call today is still in the reactive arena, but maybe you're just getting started, and that's okay. Recognizing where you are is a great part of that journey. But here is where you only have an opportunity to fix your asset after it's broken, right? So you're maintaining it after it's gone down, and this can create poor customer experiences, downstream challenges with the rest of that assembly line or process. It can create dissatisfaction in your maintenance teams that may not have the part to get out there and fix that machine in the right place. So this has sort of been status quo, right? Getting out there and maintaining an asset after it's gone down. Preventative maintenance is something that a lot of organizations have already embraced. Now, this might be regularly scheduled checkups you may send when somebody purchases an asset from a connected product company, or if you're running a manufacturing plant, you may have regular schedules, right? Maybe weekly, every 30 days, every 6 months, somebody's going out there and checking an asset. But in this case, we're likely over-servicing that asset, right? We're doing it to prevent something from happening, not knowing if something would have happened had we not done that service. But it's better than reactive, right? So we do that anyway. Where we've been spending the last, with IoT and emerging technologies have made it possible is sort of condition-based maintenance. This is having the sensor data or PLC or some data exhaust from your equipment, sharing, it's sort of giving that machine a voice and allowing the machine to tell you how it's feeling. So you might check your heart rate and see, you know, what your condition is. Same thing with that machine. We can start to look at how it's feeling. And then if something comes up as, you know, in my pump example, vibration thresholds are not where they're supposed to be, now we can go and do maintenance on that machine based on its condition rather than reacting to it failing or doing it in a time-based fashion. Now, predictive maintenance, Simon touched on this word a little bit. This isn't something off in the future, right? I think companies are already taking the data coming off of their IoT sensors and have implemented predictive maintenance. I'll touch on a case study towards the end of my presentation where they've done just that. But these algorithms are forecasting failures before they happen, before that machine fails, before that plant comes to a grinding halt. And that in itself is really exciting, but for all of you in the technology arena, it continues to evolve at a breakneck pace, right? We're entering this, I called it agentic with a question mark. We don't really know what this future is going to look like and be called. Is it sentient maintenance, agentic maintenance, AI maintenance? Whatever we decide to name it, the premise behind this is that not only are AI models able to predict those threats, but can also recommend or trigger the best corrective actions sort of autonomously, right? If they happen in a safe, reliable, and an efficient manner, now we're reducing one more point of friction from that system, creating less downtime, fewer wasted maintenance hours, and assets that operate within safe and efficient windows. So where does IoT and Cumulocity fit into this? Sonali, if we can go to the next slide. We pride ourselves in being the platform that helps you turn sensor data into business value from cloud to the edge. So this is where the technology foundation, as you think about asset excellence as a part of your closed loop process, as Simon mentioned, we do this faster, better, and easier than other platforms in the space. And we're now transitioning from just being that IoT provider into that middle space around AIoT, allowing customers to understand how to action these workloads that are coming from their devices. So while asset excellence requires end-to-end and distributed data operations, we cover that end-to-end from ingesting the data from the device. This could be PLCs or servers or sensors using MQTT or other protocols. We support over 300 different types of ways to ingest data into the platform. Once that data enters the platform, contextualizing that data, preparing that data, and then contextualizing it within our digital twin manager, and then exposing that data through APIs directly in the platform. But in the case, as you noticed with SAP APM, provide that data to adjacent applications to help power analytics and AI agents. The beauty here really is the flexibility. You can deploy the models where it makes most sense. In certain cases, you may deploy your ML at the edge for lower latency. Some may deploy them in the cloud for enterprise-wide optimization, but we give you that flexibility. Now, with that flexibility, we also want to make sure we have secure operations. So the foundation for our distributed data operations starts with secure device and edge workload management, a highly scalable from your first device to your millionth device, highly scalable platform with, again, ease being at the core of this. Many companies that make assets or use assets are doing it as a part of a bigger business. And we don't want you to be in the business of creating IoT platforms. That's the business that we're in. We don't want you to be in the business of creating ERP platforms. That's the business SAP is in. And we don't want you to be in the business of thinking about how your mechanical data, how your integrity of an asset, and how that turns into business value. AsInt is in that business. You focus on your assets. Partnering with the three of us allows you to turn the data coming from your assets into business value. Sonali, on the next slide, I'll talk about how pictorially this comes together from assets to performance management, from sensor data to business value. Cumulocity is looked at as sort of a piece of that bigger business transformation portfolio from SAP, where on the left side here, you may have any type of asset that may just have a PLC or a historian that you may be ingesting data from. We can connect to that through a direct device integration or a data integration. Cumulocity, as Simon mentioned, is squarely sitting within the asset performance management, both from a commercial and a technical perspective, to allow you to, many of these organizations are people, process, and technology, right? So we want to understand how the technology and the data coming from your machines match to your processes around your maintenance and your broader organization, and then allow you to action those and share that data either within your ERP suite to other applications or other systems that you may be interacting with. To wrap it up here, I just want to cover an example of a customer that is living this journey from reactive maintenance to today prescriptive and predictive maintenance, and are already thinking about what agentic maintenance looks like in their case. And the agentic maintenance part, before I get into the case study, becoming more critical, especially as we think about the regulatory landscape. I know Rohan's going to talk a little bit about how regulations are impacting both asset intelligence and businesses in general, but I think regulations have actually been the #1 reason why technology gets adopted in many of these arenas, right? Yes, there's a promise of efficiency. Yes, there is a premise of a better land in implementing technology, but nothing drives adoption like a regulatory body saying, hey, you're going to get a fine if you aren't connected or managing these processes or these assets in a safe and efficient manner. And that is an area where emerging legislations like the Cyber Resilience Act and CCPA, there's a whole different acronym soup of regulations that are going to require an understanding of even the software bill of materials inside of your equipment, the ability to report on non-compliant pieces of software, and the ability to patch those threats over the air. And if you don't, there's actually some very real bottom line penalties, right? It's not just like a $500 fine, up to 2% of your annual turnover in terms of penalties. So these are really meaningful numbers, and why setting yourself up on this journey of understanding condition-based maintenance, predictive maintenance, and eventually agentic maintenance becomes critical as a part of not just your asset strategy, but your enterprise technology strategy. So back to Edwards. This isn't the vacuum that you may use in your home. Edwards provides industrial level vacuum solutions that get used in high critical sort of use cases. Their vacuums may get used in, for example, semiconductor manufacturing, which have really low tolerances for things like dust entering a silicone fab. And if a vacuum fails during a silicone production run, they may need to actually, their Edwards customer may need to scrap that entire wafer line and lose up to $2 million, right, of wasted product in that particular case. Edwards started with the unfortunate, hey, our vacuum failed in a production run. What are we supposed to do? To time-based maintenance, coming out there and changing filters before they needed to, eventually connecting those vacuums to Cumulocity and understanding the data from those, including how clogged the filter might be, and then using that to do condition-based maintenance, but have already started to build and deploy machine learning models that help their customers deploy predictive maintenance inside of those manufacturing facilities, right? So using the predictive analytics, they're integrating those results into enterprise workflows that ultimately reduce unplanned downtime for their customers. They optimize those maintenance intervals for those customers, improve overall efficiency for their end customers, which is the difference between their customers buying a Edward vacuum or their competitor's vacuum, right? So I think this is a great example of how not only does this solution help Edwards become more operationally efficient, competitive advantage, become regulatorily compliant, but provide their end customer a world-class experience applying that technology. So to wrap it up, we've seen how AIoT sort of builds on IoT and data science to close that loop from data to action and share that data within a broader enterprise system. Trace the evolution of those maintenance strategies from reactive to prescriptive and eventually agentic or whatever our future holds, and shown how Cumulocity, along with AsInt and SAP, delivers the foundation to make this vision real. And it's here today. It's not something that's living in sort of POC land, something that these three organizations can help you deliver quickly and at scale. And we are excited to be part of this journey with you. With that, Sonali, I'll turn it back over to you.
And Ricky, I wanted to congratulate your team over there at Cumulocity for Cumulocity being named the leader again in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for IoT in 2025.
Thank you, Simon. I really appreciate that. Yes, 4 years in a row, and it's a humbling experience, and it's exciting because we have been in the IoT platform space for 15 years, and it's been a rapidly changing environment. I myself have been in the industry for about that period of time, and I remember in the 2017, 2018 world, back when IoT was where AI is today in terms of the hype cycle, there were over 600 IoT platforms in the market, right? And that's quickly dwindled, and the people that have done it well have continued to survive. And I think the Gartner MQ was a great testament to our product team, our partners like SAP and AsInt, in our establishing our continued leadership in the space. So thank you, Simon, and of course for your partnership. And that was a key part of Gartner recognizing that we are not just enabling equipment manufacturers and operators, but the ecosystem sees value in the software that we put together.
So thank you, Ricky, for that. I think especially with the real life examples that you were able to tell, that it's the need of the hour for asset-intensive industry like oil and gas, like chemicals, countless others, why having smart technologies like IoT is essential when it comes to monitoring your asset health. We want the system to keep an eye on it in itself, just improve our maintenance strategies in general. So now I'll just request Rohan. So Rohan, so far Simon covered the pillars of asset performance management on reliability. Ricky hit the points on asset health monitoring. So how does AsInt, being a silver partner, implementation partner of SAP, what are we doing in this space, and what we are doing in terms of the third pillar, that is mechanical integrity and safety?
Awesome. Thank you for that, Sonali. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you to Simon and Ricky for coming along and working with us on this webinar. As we discussed about it, I was super excited about it because we always work in the background to talk about this thing, but now bringing up on a webinar to our audience, to our customer, is the most important things, right? So again, thank you very much. And again, congratulations, entire Cumulocity team on winning those awards. Award means something, right? Like those are not just a badge. It's a pride sometimes to actually say we have done it 4 years in a row. So the congratulations entire Cumulocity team on that. And we're super, super excited that we are doing all this different partnership and not just limiting. We'll try to focus on oil and gas chemical use case today, but we're gonna go beyond that, right? With all the different industry that we wanted to target, and with the SAP and Cumulocity, I think we have that free range that we can actually go and solve any problem out over there, right? So what I'm gonna focus on today is I'm gonna pick up where Simon left off on a reliability side, right? So let's talk about the foundation at the oil and gas. The foundation for that is a triangle, basically, right? So it's reliability, safety, and you have a mechanical integrity, right? So there's a 3 triangle that actually always hover over that you have to do, and there are a lot of application goes behind the scene, right? For that the specific triangle. So if you talk about reliability, where Simon talked about it within the foundation, how can we connect to your get closer to your ERP, the entire resource planning, enterprise resource planning. And within the enterprise resource planning, how can we now take it to the strategy action, right? So within that reliability, it could be risk and criticality, it could be RCM, it could be FMEA and other application out over there, right? But then we started shifting the focus on mechanical integrity. That could be risk-based inspection over there. And I think people wants to know what kind of risk-based. Can you do qualitative? Can you do semi-qualitative? Can you do fully quantitative? What if I have my own model to do my risk-based inspection? Can I do that, right? So what we have done over here, as you can see on the screen, we have actually combined all those different templates and the models, and we actually made it adaptable for any agnostic to any system, right? So let's set the level. We are same platform in SAP BTP as SAP APM. So we really work very closely tight. So notification, work orders, your task list, how to take those action next level, all those are very tightly integrated within the same system. Now we have Cumulocity IoT also feeding that information. So now those things that Ricky talked about it, right? Can I do my reactive? Can I do my preventive? Can I do my condition based? Can I do predict something? Those becomes very easier with that feed data from that information. And now on top of it, our application and algorithm can actually make it better, gel all well together with a strong foundation for any organization. So if you're a small organization and if you wanted to actually take it to the next level, you can definitely do it as almost as like a big organization can do it with same master data driven approach, right? So your master data doesn't change. So your quality of the data stay persist over the year. And then your financial and compliance issue, right? Ricky mentioned about the financial is the key in this mix, because if you just hurry up and do something, and if there is a mistake happen because you're just trying to rush through it or just overlooked it, that implication for their compliance is pretty high, right? And the bottom line definitely hurt. So we wanted to make sure that we actually cover all that end to end. So to just summarize it, we can handle every single one, right? So if you are in North America and if you wanted to follow API 581, for example, or API 580 RP on that line of things, right? The basis of that, we can handle that. We have our own methodology for RBI called RBI Plus, where we do probability failure differently and consequence of failure differently, right? And we merge that and come up with some sort of strategy for you to predict. But same times we can ingest the data from SAP APM, same data from Cumulocity, and actually do something creative about it, right? So now your data and your information is a lifetime information, right? We can handle any kind of European standard. So if you have a EN 16991, if you have a PED, pressure equipment directive from Europe, we can handle that. We already have those algorithm, model, entire thing built into the solution, and now we feed with the different data, right? And so does it all the offshore data, the pipeline integrity. If you wanted to handle NR13 like a Brazilian model, we can handle that within the system. So now your platform simplify, your data simplify, running on the same application on a master data. And then your strategy, your maintenance and the planning and everything also normalize, right? Because what I'm going to show you in the next slide, you can actually now take this model and do something creative about it, right? So equipment, where I define my equipment, I can break down into my component. From that, I can apply some sort of a strategy. Regardless of a strategy, you can bring your own model or choose our model plus our pre-built model, and then we can apply that. And then that specific strategy, we take it and make sure validate with Cumulocity, because we are sitting on the same master data. So get that feed information from that, in some cases live feed information, right? So if you wanted to do some sort of CCD, corrosion control document, and if you want to get that information live, you can easily do that now, right? Because we're part of the same ecosystem. But now once you bundle everything, right, you find a risk, right? But what are you going to do about it? That's where we are changing the paradigm to say, okay, now let's take it to the recommendation workbench plus, right? So that's another application within our ecosystem that we created where we merge all the strategy. So if Simon created risk and criticality or CM from APM system, that get brought into this recommendation workbench plus. If we create any safety, SIL, SIF, LOPA, RPI, RCA, all those different strategy, we bring to the recommendation workbench plus. And now, once we have that holistic view of all the strategies and all happening, that gives you the power as an owner user to make a decision, right? Because ultimately, that is the biggest gap we see in industry, that everything works, but everything works so separately. Your strategy is working separately, your risk and criticality is working separately, your RBIs somehow, some cases, somebody is doing in software or somebody's doing an Excel spreadsheet, and it's just all disparate right now. And what we are trying to do is we work very closely with SAP Cumulocity to get that into same ecosystem, same harmonized process, and we all talk the same language. So that's why when we talk with a client can easily adapt to this and then scale it to the globally, anywhere you want it to scale it, right? So from that point, from that strategy, you can do maintenance plan. We have another application that we're gonna now even try to introduce financial models, right? So if I wanted to see my XYZ site over here in Houston has outage coming up next year, can I predict that what kind of budget and how do I actually divide those budget into? And those are the kind of innovation we are actually doing it, right? So we have nearly a lot of application, close to 25, 30 application in SOP ecosystem developing on very rapidly, working very closely with SAP, but all this application has a mission, right? And how we each application can connect with it, right? So we're gonna infuse each application with some sort of a AI, some form of AI, just like we are doing it with the Cumulocity IoT and others, right? So at the end, our users see the seamless integration within the same platform, but the application and everything else at the core of everything else. So like if you talking about CML, condition monitoring location, if you wanted to do inspection history, and if you wanted to bring that inspection history back to the RBI to predict something better, we can do that, right? So this is, again, as Ricky pointed out, this is not a POC stage. This is the ready to go. And if you wanted to start implementing tomorrow, we're ready to take a call and take it, right? So team is all standby to make sure, like, hey, if you're ready for this, we are here to start get going, right? So just for the summary, if you really wanted to drive your excellency in asset performance side of things, right, you have to have a closely aligned with your enterprise resource planning, because this is where all the financial data is. End of the day, everybody do care about numbers, and they do wanted to make sure that all the strategy that and notification work order and all those different activities we are creating at the site level is highlighting and is actually converting work correctly into your overall planning. If it doesn't do that, then that's where the breakage happens. That's where it becomes very costly for the organization, right? So again, I wanted to emphasize on the application, how we connect with the Cumulocity and SAP on this slide. But and there's a way more that we can actually do, right? So if you wanted to learn more, please reach out to us, and team will get you set up like a personalized demo and everything else. So Sonali, if you can go to next one. On this one, I think this will, I'm gonna turn it back to you to just make sure that if you have any question from the line.
We actually do. So first of all, thank you once again, speakers. Um, this was actually today's discussion, I feel, was insightful in a quite unique way, because we did not have just one but three speakers, and we were benefiting from the wisdom that you have shaped through the years of real world experience. So I'm just going to take a little bit time of more for that, continue the conversation. We do have a couple of questions, so let's have a quick panel discussion now. So first question is for you, Simon. This is quite a unique partnership with SAP, Cumulocity, and AsInt together. But as an end user, what we want to understand is that what is the kind of predictive or these insights that a user can expect from this ecosystem?
Yeah, so I think both Rohan and Ricky already touched this topic. But from my point of view, from SAP's point of view, right, our solution and our ecosystem strategy are about enabling innovations. And as a solution, APM provides a full suite of REST APIs. So what that means is that you can ingest not only data externally, but also derived results or signals as a health score, as a health indicators, whatever you want to call it. We manage them in a central place. That we call indicators management. So what that means to the end users that you can really take advantage of all the innovations in the AI/ML space, not only from our core products, right? So that we provide our own core AI capabilities, but you can take advantage of all the calculations, the advanced AI models, the industry-specific models or asset class-specific models that our partners have built, right? So in this example, these partners that we have today. So from a end user point of view, that means all these indicators, it doesn't matter where it's calculated and what it's about. It could be about wear and tear, it could be a quantification of anomaly, it could be a failure probability for a given time frame. It could be any of these or any of these above. It could be based on machine learning, it could be based on digital twin first principle physics-based simulation. It doesn't matter. All these indicators are consumed the same way in APM from a user's point of view, from dashboarding, from analytics, for asset health condition monitoring using rules. So I think the bottom line is that the customers can really expect being able to take advantage of all these innovations from our partners, from in-house advanced analytics group, etc., in the same way in APM with all the visualizations, all the asset health monitoring capabilities.
Perfect. Thank you, Simon. Next question is to you, Ricky. So you did talk about the evolution of maintenance from the traditional condition and time-based now to predictive and to agentic, I think was the term that you coined. But yeah, so far, what is the one key challenge, or not one, but the biggest key challenge that you have seen organizations face when it comes to integrating APM with IoT platforms like yours, and how can they easily overcome it?
Good question, Sonali. I'll answer this question maybe not from a technical lens, but from a business lens. I started off by saying how Cumulocity and SAP and AsInt help turn sensor data into business intelligence. Very often we see companies tackle this as a technical challenge. How can I start to ingest data, right? How can I get that data into a different system? And very often, especially with the tools that make it really easy, like SAP and Cumulocity, we can accelerate that for you, but at the end of that period, they go, oh, now what do I do with this data, right? They haven't really thought about what is the business outcome that they're looking to drive. So very often I see that's the biggest challenge is people don't start with the business outcome that they're looking to drive. They start with what's the technology that they need. And secondly, I think it builds a little bit off of what Simon was talking about. Interoperability is key. You do not want this data to sit in silos. You don't want these business processes done in isolation. So often I talk to customers, we deal a lot with product teams that want to have sensor data from their equipment out in the field. And you ask them the question, hey, what does your maintenance team look for when they get a service call? And they go, what maintenance team? Right? Because organizations tend to have these silos where they aren't talking amongst each other, and not just data interoperability, but I think process interoperability and helping these organizations understand what is the business outcome that different teams within our organization are looking to drive with this consolidated data, right? And then this accelerates even further as there are going to be best of breed AI tools and best of breed data lakes, making sure that we allow customers to both send the data to where they need it and bring data back into a common platform are things you want to look for, right? You want to design interoperability into your core framework along with the business outcomes. I hope that answers your question.
It surely does. So thank you for that. So next question to you now, Rohan. We are talking that we are the one-stop solution for all your asset needs now, and not only that, but we are future ready as well. So on that note, what do you see as the biggest driver of change when it comes to asset integrity over the next 3 years?
Yeah, no, that great question, Sonali. So next 3 years is gonna be crucial, right? Because everybody is talking about AI for last 2, 3 years. But if you see the success rate for the AI in the marketplace is it's not that healthy, right? As we see it. So what we are seeing it from a Sen point of view, we wanted to be cautiously monitor this, but then do some sort of a AI infusion to our application and make application intelligent, because adoption of AI, especially in oil and gas, specialty chemical and industry, right, where you definitely need a lot of data to actually do this kind of information, right? Like, so if you wanted to predict what's my corrosion rate is, if you wanted to predict, like, can I optimize my CML? And if I wanted to optimize my CML, how do I do my optimization of my CML, right? So we are intelligently building applications. So then when I say we have a stack of like around 25, 30 applications that we built in there, each application has a purpose to do that. And then we are actually infusing all those applications into and the feature into our application to make entire platform better, right? So when we actually go and talk with a client, and client says, hey, can I actually do some sort of image recognition, and I wanted to predict something based on what I have available in my library for damage mechanism, is it CUI or is it my external or is it my internal, and can I do that, right? So those are the use case we are taking up and actually taking advance into the next level. And then Ricky mentioned on evaluation, right? Like, we still think people are still stuck in that middle cycle in an industry where they are reactive to preemptive and preemptive to predictive maintenance, right? So they are stuck somewhere, and our goal for next 3 years is to just make sure boost them up, right? Even if it's a small thing does makes a big difference, right? That's the philosophy we internally follow, as you know. So what we are trying to do is, by this small innovation, how can we bring them upwards and get educated, and then now ready to adapt bigger things and better things, right? Because as Ricky mentioned on the agentic AI and all those different things, those are very hard work for them if you just start talking to them, right? But if we build a foundation that, as we are building right now with this 3 companies and how we are delivering the application to the market, that would be the future, right? That's the way I see it. I hope Ricky and Simon, you agree with me on that vision.
Yeah,
I think this
absolutely.
webinar is
I think
testament to that vision, right? Is I think we all bring unique strengths, and to quote a book about innovation, I've forgotten the author right now, but he says the people that become really good at doing something become the one that does it for the rest of the world, right? So I think
That's
SAP
right.
has become really good at ERPs, Cumulocity has become really good in IoT, AsInt's become really good at asset intelligence, and we're not trying to step over each other and saying, oh, well, I will also do this piece or I will also do that piece. We all bring some core competencies that are actually better together, right? I think that's proven by us being here together and addressing this challenge mutually.
Yeah,
Sorry, Simon, I
absolutely.
interrupted you.
Yeah, go ahead, Simon, please.
I think we share the same vision. I think it's about for us, definitely it's about AI first. But
Yeah.
also I talked about suite first, right? So with the I see the bullet number 3 here. That's a great example. Unifying RCM and RBI for smarter asset strategies. We have this naturally complementary solutions that really help our customers be able to tie together these processes, right? So for us, it's about reliability and maintenance. But now with AsInt, right, bringing mechanical integrity and RBI into the equation, I think that's brilliant. So so I'm totally aligned with the strategy and vision.
Perfect.
Excellent.
I think time permits us for one more question, and this I believe, can be addressed by both Simon and Rohan. So while we are talking about the platform, are there any built-in tools or any features that can help drive the user adoption, a easier change process? And how have you noticed that the customers, how have they managed this change process?
Yes, Simon, you wanted to take it first, or
Yeah,
you want me to go for
I'll
it?
take a first stab at it, right? So I think from a product point of view, what we're hard at work is enabling our Copilot Jewel to be a very capable Copilot that helps drive better user experience and drive user adoption. So for example, right, so today we have Jewel, completely knowledgeable about all the help portal documentation about APM. So you can, having a conversation with Jewel, whenever you hit something with user hitting something in the application that that's unclear, right? That's Jewel. Having that conversation with Jewel, right? So the next thing that we're enabling is to provide navigational and informational use cases. So be able to help me navigate for this use case to get to this object, be able to do that task, or help me summarize or analyze this information that's from this table. And having that conversational experience, that's something that it's here, and you will become better and better and better. And of course, over time, Jewel is going to be so intelligent, going across all the suites, all the products, all the capability across the suite, and ultimately arriving at agentic capabilities, right? So that's something that I really shouldn't be talking about. I'll give you a preview anyways, right? So the ability to use Gen AI and be able to have the agents working in the background, assessing the risk and criticality, and making suggestions and recommendations. For example, in the context of FMEA, right? Actually having agents doing these things pre-work in the background, identifying issues, etc., help providing the data into a more informed FMEA decision, right? So all these use cases that we're evaluating, and these are the things that we feel that are really going to bring a lot of value to our users, making their jobs easier, making the application easier to use, easier to adopt.
Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
Yeah, I know Sonali didn't pose the question to me, but I'm so excited by this that I thought I would jump in. So having been in the IoT space as long as I have, Simon, everything for the longest time is revolved around a dashboard, right? Anytime we do sort of a demo of our platform, it's let's show people a dashboard. The earlier comment I made, depending on where you are in the business, if you're an executive leader or product manager or maintenance person, there's been a nice aspect of being able to customize that dashboard for the data that you need. But the thing that's most exciting to me about agentic and sort of these AI systems is what I call the anti-dashboard. You no longer now have to look at these, static graphs, or even if they're changing in real-time graphs, you just ask the question that you're looking for. So if you've solved for that problem I previously mentioned of understanding what is the business outcome you're looking to drive, now you can just ask your system the question, hey, which pumps are most likely to fail in the snowstorm that's happening in Dallas next week for the customers in that user base, right? That, even from a BI perspective, even if you had a really clean data pipeline, would have taken you at least some hours to develop a custom view or report on. And now you can get that answer like this because you've got the asset intelligence from AsInt, you've got your ERP and your customer records and locations from SAP, and that real-time sensor data from Cumulocity. So that to me, the anti-dashboard is what's really exciting about the world that we're moving into.
Absolutely, and it comes with the data, right? So you need all that data be able to feed into Gen AI, or to Jewel in our case, to be able to provide intelligence. So I think we together have the right stack, and we have the data to be able to achieve this vision.
Absolutely. And sometimes Simon and Ricky, absolutely valid point, 100% agree, right? But then now, how do we bring that financial data, right? Because that's the biggest gap for most of the companies. Like, how do I merge my strategy decision that happens at one of the location level? Well, how do I bring that at my financial level? Because end of the day, everybody cares about bottom line. At end of the day, everybody cares about what's my ROI look like, right? So how do I merge that together, right? So that is going to be super excited for us to solve, right? We're already solving it with the application, but now presenting to the world that, hey, this is how we are solving it. This is kind of agent that can, just like Ricky's case, like now find me pump. Now I'm going to go and say, now next prompt is, find me a pump. That is more that's what's the cost for it? What's it's gonna cost me? What's it gonna be? Do I have to ship it from somewhere? Is it ready to available? And having those like interaction and not just a graph or analytics, I think it's gonna be the super exciting world. So now I'm gonna give it back to you because I think we're at that time. This is a great discussion. I wish I can continue on it, but I think we are constrained with the time.
Yeah, we know the session went well when each of us did not keep a tab on the time. That was a good conversation. So yeah, but it's time for the wrap now. Thank you so much once again to all the speakers, once again for your time, for your thoughts, for the conversation today, and to our audience as well. Thanks for your time and your participation. And we could see a lot of questions were chiming in while the webinar was going on. I hope our team was able to answer most of it, but if we did not somehow, then don't worry. Post the webinar, we are going to directly reach out to you to keep the conversation going once again. And AsInt has been hosting such webinars since quite some time now. And if something from the series that you can see on your screen right now here catches your eye, or you just wish to have a recap of it, you can always visit our YouTube channel. You can watch our LinkedIn page for any updates on product enhancements, on the upcoming webinars, on any events that we are attending so that we can meet you there in person. And feel free to scan the QR code as well. Book a one-on-one deep dive session with us. We'd love to keep the discussion going forward, or any queries that you have in general. So thank you once again. Till the next time, just stay safe, stay connected, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.